Rich Dad, Poor Dad. This was the first book that I was introduced to 11 years ago when I first became an entrepreneur. And like most of you, I enjoyed the book. But there is some controversy surrounding the validity of the story and whether or not the information in this book is actually practical in the real world. In my personal opinion, the sole purpose of this book, it's a philosophy and self-help book. It's not a how-to book as far as how to go out and acquire assets or acquire real estate. It's really meant for the 9-to-5 worker who is used to acquiring liabilities and trying to help transition his mindset and get him focused on entrepreneurial endeavors and acquiring assets. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. In my opinion, Robert Kiyosaki is an info marketer. Robert Kiyosaki's sole purpose is to sell you information, to sell you courses, to sell you books. You have to learn how to use discernment and figure out what applies to you and what doesn't. My mentor always says, it's sort of, you have to learn how to eat the meat and spit out the bones. What exactly do I mean by that? See, when I first got started, I was of the mindset, you just got to educate yourself. So I was buying every single Robert Kiyosaki's book. I was going to every single Rich Dad seminar, but I wasn't out here actually doing business. And my mentor always preaches, entrepreneurship and business is a contact sport. You learn business by doing business. You can read all of the blogs, all of the books, but if you're not out here actually acquiring assets and doing business, you're not learning anything. You have a lot of book smarts, but you don't have real world practical knowledge. And I'll share a quick story with you. I remember I was at a networking event. And because I read so much, I understood all the Federal Reserve data. I understood what was happening in the economy. And me and the guy, we got into a debate about acquiring real estate. This was back in 2009. And I was saying to him, why are you buying real estate right now? The market's going to continue to keep crashing. And he said, but eventually the market will come back. And I told him, you're an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about. Well, guess what? I was right for the first 2 years. The market continued to crash and remain flat. But guess what happened in 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19? The market rebounded and rebounded ferociously. So now this guy has a 7-year head start on me because I just got into real estate 2 years ago. So now he was acquiring real estate for pennies on a dollar. He didn't care if the market was crashing because he was focused on the long term. See, that's the difference between real world information and book knowledge. And if you believe that you're going to read a $10 book and that $10 book is going to teach you how to become a millionaire, that is part of the problem. Understand, everyone on the internet is trying to sell you. I'm trying to sell you right now with my title. I'm trying to get you to click on my video. And it's something known as clickbait. So when you see these articles and these blogs and these YouTube videos saying Rich Dad, Poor Dad and Robert Kiyosaki is a scam, understand it's called the bait and switch. They're trying to get you to click on their video so they can sell you their real estate course or their stock market trading course or their book or whatever the case may be. You have to learn how to use discernment. It's a $10 book. It's a self-help book. It's a mindset book. It's meant to transition your philosophy because here in Western culture, many of us believe go to school, get a job, and go get a nice car and get a nice house. Whereas Robert Kiyosaki is using a story, sort of like a parable. And he's just trying to get you to understand, my rich dad taught me how to go out and acquire assets and think like an entrepreneur and do what the rich do. And my poor dad told me get a good job, get a pension, and basically pay a bunch of debt off. Different philosophies. So understand, the book is simply meant to just change your mindset. I would implore you to, rather than spending all your money on books, because I did that. I brought Cash Flow 101, Cash Flow 212, Why We Want You to Be Rich, Mike Maloney's Guide to Gold and Silver. I brought everything. I spent $3,000, $4,000 on courses and books. When I could have took that same $3,000 or $4,000, went and got a mentor earlier and start learning how to go out and acquire real estate, because understand, no two entrepreneurs are the same. No two deals are the same. You may have access to more capital than I do. You may be in a completely different market. You may be in San Francisco or here in New York City like I am, where the markets came down 20% and it's still overvalued. Or you could be in a place like Arizona, or you could be in a place in the Midwest like St. Louis, where there's a lot of gentrification coming in and there's a lot of money going on. Everyone's opportunities and deals are different. Everyone's challenges are different. You may have access to capital. You may not. It all depends on the entrepreneur, which is why it's important for you to go out and get real world experience, or go get you some mentors that actually has real world experience. So I'll leave the video like this. Is Robert Kiyosaki a scammer? No. Is the Rich Dad Poor Dad book a scam? No. It's simply a philosophy and mindset book.